All right, welcome back. It's Inside Gateway again. I literally have lost count, but I think we're just past a year, so that's really cool. So yeah, we're going to keep coming. We're going to keep doing this. We've enjoyed it, so hopefully you're enjoying it as well, whether you're live or after the fact. We appreciate your participation. So today we have Amanda. Amanda, let's start when you first heard about Gateway Women's.
Yes, I heard about Gateway a really long time ago, probably when I was in high school. I had a lot of college friends who would come out and volunteer for the summer. That was a really big thing for people about a few years older than me, when they would come out and spend a month or two even out here.
Oh, wow.
People from Gridley, or I was really close with Bloomington people, and they would come out here. So that was when I first heard about Gateway, was through volunteering. And that was the main, I knew more about residential probably than anything because of that.
Sure. Yeah, okay. So when you're in high school and you're from Gridley?
Yes.
Okay. So then what, did you come volunteer then after that when you were of age, or?
I did. I first volunteered when I was 19, and it was, I think the person who was volunteer coordinator was the president of our ISU Young Group, or he was just really an active member there. And so he asked ISU people to come out, and I did, and I loved it. And then every summer since then, I came out until I started working here.
Okay, wow.
At least for a week, yeah.
So volunteering was really kind of the path that
it
brought you
was,
to...
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for everybody, but that's really encouraging to hear, because volunteering is a big part of, obviously, not only the auction, but summer, and just having people be involved, especially young people, just getting excited about Gateway, and just kind of, just setting that path. So you came out as an assistant, right?
Yes. In 2012, I came out in the spring for the assistant job at Hickory House.
Okay. So Hickory House, that was all girls' house at the time,
It
right?
was, yes.
Okay, so how was that working with, was that your only house that you worked at?
Yes, that was my only experience. I only worked with the all-girls house, so I had nothing to compare it to with working with boys and girls. So I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really sure how it would be to work with boys as a house parent.
Now, as a counselor, are there any boys on your caseload?
Yes, I work with both.
So I guess that would be
now I do, but then I definitely had no idea.
Sure. So being an assistant or a house parent in general, how has that helped you in this role as a counselor?
I think one of the biggest ways it has helped me is I know what it's like to be a house parent. Unlike most counselors or some other staff members, I can relate to what house parents' struggles are, or what they're going through with kids when they're difficult, or just how DCS and probation, like how the systems run and how that affects house parents. I think that it gives me more insight to maybe what they're feeling and going through. And so I have more empathy for them in their lives, living with the kids every day. I get that.
So do you pull out your house parent card to the residents and say, I've been there. You can't pull the wool over my eyes.
Sometimes I'll tell the kids, sometimes they're just in bad moods, and I'll be like, hey, I was there once too. You guys aren't the easiest to deal with sometimes. Okay. So they all, not all of them know that I was a house parent at one point, but I do talk about that, saying that I know what it's like to be in the house. I mean, I was never there full time because I was a shift worker, but I mean, I still was there.
Sure. Very good. As always, if you have questions, please chime in. So going back to the assistant, what was your favorite thing to cook? I have my guess, but go ahead.
Well, I don't know if it was my favorite, but what people liked the most was I had kids that really liked homemade Chinese food, and so they would it's a long process, hours to make everything from scratch, but that was by far their favorite thing.
Yeah, so, I was gonna say orange chicken. So.
Yes, the orange chicken, and then egg rolls. They loved the homemade egg rolls. So,
those are good.
But that was a 3-hour event. So I didn't necessarily love all the work they put into it, but the kids loved it. Yeah. So it was worthwhile.
Very good. So who all did you work with in your house parenting time?
Yes, when I started, the leads were Dustin and Mandy Hodel, and the alternates were John and Amy. And then when Later on, Dustin and Mandy switched to being our alternates, and John and Amy became leads. And then after that, you and your wife came in and were alternates for a while.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. So we had you, and then when we moved to Cypress, it was Lindsay and then Christy. And I think two of you are really close friends, so it's kind of cool looking back. And then as our boys, they still have really good relationships with all three of you guys. We don't see Lindsay's much, but thankfully we'll see her more often soon. Yeah. And congrats to Kyle. Just got that email. He's going to be our new math teacher. So very excited about that. So let's speak into house parent a little bit. I mean, we still have some openings, not only for assistant, but for house parent couples or families. What would you say to encourage them? Speaking for really both sides, as a counselor and seeing kind of the stress that it puts on residents or even house parents just when you're short-staffed, and then also as a house parent yourself.
I think being a house parent is such a worthwhile thing at Gateway. I value the job I do, but also being a house parent, you affect the kids' lives so much more, I think. And it's just amazing how much you grow as a house parent working at Gateway, as well as you're just so influential in their lives. And even though it's really challenging and hard, you're the one a lot of times that they're going to reach out to later on in life. And they're going to look back and see how you ran your family and how the house was ran. And they will remember that as a good time. Normally, I mean, there's struggles, but I feel like being a house parent is just a really essential role to Gateway, and Gateway can't function without it. Our family model is wonderful. And when we have lack of staffing, it causes a lot more stress on house parents and any residential staff. And it's hard because there might not be as much consistency for kids, or it just might be harder just because people are torn in so many directions. And so I think to fully do our best, it's great when we are fully staffed. I mean, I think all of the house parents are doing an amazing job right now, for sure, but I'm sure their job would be less stressful if we were at full capacity with kids as well as with house parents. Yeah. I think that would be great.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we can see it from the house parent perspective, but we forget about the residents. And it's like when you have maybe house parents that are kind of doing double duty or switching houses, or maybe during their stay they've had like 4 sets of house parents. It's like that's unsettling to them because they can't grow in that relationship and have that stability.
Right.
And so
I think it's really hard. I think it's necessary for part of the job, but I think it is hard for the kids to have different people come in and out for that role. We try at Gateway not to do that very often, but sometimes it just has to happen.
Yeah. So what's kind of a normal caseload on your counselor, like kid-wise?
Well, right now we're pretty low census, just resident-wise. So I only have 6 kids at the moment.
Okay.
I would say normally it's like 8 or 9.
And what's your capacity?
I have had 12 before.
Oh, wow.
So that was a lot. So I would say like a good number is like 9 to probably around 9 kids.
So what is one of your favorite things as a counselor, like that you get to do?
Probably just working with the kids and being able to be an advocate for them, as well as just getting to know their story and where they've been come from and how I can help them overcome some of their past issues and trauma. And then also, actually, I really enjoy working with the house parents and getting to know them on a personal level too. That's a really important part of my job, I think.
So team meetings, you enjoy that? The counselor side of things?
I enjoy parts of the team meeting. Like I think they're good. Sometimes they get a little long, and I would rather be doing getting other tasks done. But I think they're really important for us to all stay on the same page. Yeah,
very good. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been to a team meeting, but yeah, they were different. It just depends what house you're at, what counselors were involved, and yeah, I still remember some of my first team meetings. They're just like kind of so overwhelming, confusing, and kind of that. But then you just get comfortable with it. And it's kind of fun. I mean, it's just kind of just a way to grow as a team and kind of just have that supervision and kind of the overlap and making sure that there isn't assumptions being made that aren't correct and kind of that. So what is something that gives you anxiety in your job?
Something that gives me anxiety would be probably just all the paperwork. I'm not the greatest at like being organized or the paperwork side of it. Also, I'm the one who kind of tells the kids if something's hard, like a hard situation came up, like if their parent's not going to be the end of placement anymore, or something fell through, or even, I haven't had to do this yet, but if, let's say there was a death in their family, I would be the one to tell the kid normally. And so being the bearer of bad news gives me anxiety sometimes. I'm better at it now.
Yeah.
And I used to struggle more with conflict resolution, but I'm better at that now. But that used to give me anxiety.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine. Do we have any questions or comments?
No. I want to speak into, we forget a little bit about the time in between your time as an assistant and now your time as a counselor was also in foster care, right?
Yes.
So how does your role in foster care compare to working with residents?
My role in foster care was a little bit more hands-off, I would say. I would say I worked more with the foster parents than with the foster kids. And I loved working in foster care. It was great for a season, but I didn't have as deep of a relationship with the kids as I do in counseling. But and it was more case management probably, and like running the kids to appointments. I did get to know the kids, and I care about them a lot, but it's just a different level of knowing them probably, because they would have their own counselor. So I would go to the house and take them and do things with them, and like maybe do some skill learning things, but nothing to the extent of being their counselor.
Yeah. Do you enjoy building the relationships more in the counseling role? Do you enjoy that?
I do enjoy it, yeah, a lot.
Very good. So, yeah, I totally forgot about the foster care, so thanks for...
Ashley Maybaugh tuned in and says, "You are a rock star, my friend."
Oh, thank you.
Very good. So, take us back again to house parenting, some kind of a fun memory, because this job can be stressful, and it's just fun to look back at kind of something that makes you smile. So, what would that be?
Yes, there's a lot of funny things that happened as being a house parent with either house parent kids or residents. Just there's always been a lot. But like a really important memory I have that shows like what a family gateway is I spent my first Thanksgiving out here on duty working on Thanksgiving, and my house parents were willing to let me stay the night in the alternate room.
Okay.
And the night before Thanksgiving, and I was able to wake up, and I mean, some people would maybe not like this if they were like working on Thanksgiving, but I was able to spend Thanksgiving with like my gateway family, so my residents and John and Amy, which was really great because I just felt really part of them and like just really wanted and loved there, and that was really great. And it was really fun like working with the kids, making the food and getting everything ready for Thanksgiving. And then we came together with Oak House and had a big Thanksgiving meal, and we had a lot of people's family come, like residents' families come, and it was nice to see them, and it was just a great time. So that was probably a really good memory I have of Gateway.
Oh, that's great. And so how has kind of living in the Leo community been for you? I mean, it's been, about 7 years now?
Yes. It was challenging at first. I love the church and I love the area, but it took a little while for me to feel connected, except with just, I was very connected with Gateway people, but not necessarily the church as a whole. But I realized a lot of that was myself. I needed to like put myself into things and put myself into like choir or just getting to know people. And I just love Leo so much. I love the community. I love the church. Like I consider it my home now. And I mean, at this point, I can't imagine being anywhere else.
Sure.
They're so welcoming and loving. And I just had to get over like my homesickness, I guess you would say. Or I was just so used to, I'm from Gridley. It was a very tight community, a lot of events. And I just had always been from Gridley. So just being out here, it was a challenge for a little while. But people were so welcoming that now, I mean, I can't imagine anywhere else being.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, yeah, being from Bluffton and then now kind of really settling in Leo, it's great. I wouldn't trade any aspect of them at the point of my life that I was there. But yeah, I wouldn't want to necessarily go anywhere else. It's just it's a great place for us to grow as a family, but then also really still be involved at Gateway. So what is something that God has taught you, I mean, in any of your roles while being here at Gateway?
Yes, well, God's taught me a lot. I feel like me coming out to Gateway, some part of me thinks that I've learned more than any of the kids that I've affected or helped. I've learned through working with kids, just like more of my sin issues and what things I need to work through. And it's working with kids specifically, like with rough family backgrounds or different things. I've had to like look in myself and what I need to work on personally through just different challenges I've had in my past that maybe I just didn't think about in the past. And so the Lord has just really challenged me to be like vulnerable while being working at Gateway. I'm a lot more vulnerable now to like expressing my feelings and my emotions and what I'm actually thinking. So the Lord has just taught me to just be open and vulnerable with people. And so he has taught me that through being at Gateway a lot more. And my patience is a lot higher than it was before. So that's good.
Very
and
good.
to trust, because I couldn't do my job without trusting in God.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, nobody likes to be vulnerable, but transparency and being vulnerable is just such a key thing, especially as a house parent and a counselor, and just really as a Christian. We need that. And God uses people. He uses, obviously, his word, his spirit to do that and to teach us. But no, that's great. Very happy that you've got to that point. And it's just a stepping stone for the next phase of your life, whatever that is. Hopefully you stay here a while at Gateway as a counselor, because you do such a good job, and we're thankful for that. And just even from the outside looking in, just seeing how the kids respond to you, and just especially the girls. I haven't seen so much with the guy interactions, but they really respect you, and so just want to encourage you in that. Is there anything else you would like to share or add?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, I've really enjoyed this chat. Next week will be March, and so we don't really have it on the agenda of what we're going to have, but we do have the rep meeting coming up, so we appreciate your prayers on that, coming up on the 9th of March. And we're going to do one of the recordings that day, and then we'll kind of post it later. It's going to be Joe and Heather Beer and their family. So very excited, just kind of see a house parent family that has kind of gone through it, and then have the live studio audience of the reps asking questions. So very excited about that, and we will talk to you next week. Thanks.